this transitions nicely into the next question here. Mary mentioned putting your CTF skills on a resume. What makes a candidate really stand out on paper and then in an interview? If the choice was between two people with similar credentials, what would push one candidate forward? And that's from Haley Brigger.
When I worked at the Venetian, and I would sit in on interviews and hiring for our SOC positions. If somebody had cyber competitions on, we put them at the top of the list automatically, right? One, it shows they have initiative. They're not just going to work. They're actually going home and looking at stuff, and they're playing around, they're tinkering. So they want to learn this. So automatically, those folks would be at the top of the list. Projects, if they've worked on any projects, like open source projects or anything like that, or they've done volunteer work, we look at those kind of things, make you stand out, right? Because we know, okay, you really do want to be in this industry. You really are taking the time to actually learn and grow and build your skills outside of your regular job. So I think those three things for us was really important.
I'll be honest and say I'm a terrible, terrible interviewer. I'm mean, but those who actually came on board to work for me understands why. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean about it, but I'm also trying to get the worst and best out of them. It's basic psychology. And I need to see that they're able to handle it. And one guy actually said, like, you're like the hardest and probably the worst interviewer I had, but I really learned a lot. And then I said, and I like to come in for a second interview. See, initiative. And I said, you know what? Come back in. And I actually hired him because he represented himself and knew how to handle it. Because part of our job is not really technology. I mean, all these brands and stuff, it's not that complicated. If you have to learn a new technology on the job, that's a different problem.
Right.
Like, why learn a new firewall's a firewall? You shouldn't have to learn. Like, the concept should be the same. Like,
right.
There's policies and rules, and there's things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis for hygienic stuff. Very simple. But when people come in with paper versus the interview, you could clearly see what they can or can't do, not mentally, because we need problem solvers and people who want to challenge you. And like I said, I will admit that I'm not the best, nicest person in the world, but those who have gone through my interviews and who actually landed a job with the companies I've worked in the past, I know they are continue to be successful.
Gene and I have similar pedigree with the Computer Sciences Corporation. I don't think we work together at the same time, but having an entrepreneurial mindset. And so when I say having an entrepreneurial mindset, if you're going to be a business owner, that means that you have what? You have vision. And you're willing to take the risk to provide your product and service at a cost price point that's secure and on time and on schedule. So that helps you have a intelligent conversation that, lifts the words off the paper to say, I'm not just a paper tiger, but I'm the real thing. And I will deliver because, I got to eat. And
right.
COVID 2020 and 2021 snow. And I'm down here in San Antonio, Texas, but hey, we had snow vid.
That's right. That's right.
3 days with no power. I'm like, what? So I've already made the pivot. We're going solar. So while our leadership may think that solar's a joke, it ain't no joke to me. I went through it.
Saving my pennies. Trust me.
Yeah, but have that entrepreneurial mindset. That will set you way above. I mean, in addition to everything that Murray said, yeah, definitely. Hack the box. NCCDC. Being in Cyberjutsu. Blacks in Cyber. SANS has their. Just put your brand out there, and you'll get. Hey, you'll get recognized.
Yeah, and I'll jump in rather self-servingly here and point out that the Infosec skills platform has several learning paths with cyber ranges, which allow you to develop hands-on skills using skills platform and virtual machines. That's going to allow you to eliminate the catch-22 of not having the experience. You can show, I've done this thing, there's not that huge of a gulf between I did this in a training platform and there's a little bit of a jump to I did it for a company, but it's it's right up there. So don't be afraid to go in there and get your hands dirty with these things. So
yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on that one, Chris. So
okay.
so on the cyber skills solution, I was mentoring some middle school students, and when I say mentoring, I mean they were like scatterbrained everywhere. So I took the challenge and said, well, I'm gonna teach you guys some Linux. So I'm sitting up in the front of the room, trying to show them, okay, how do you figure out what, directory you're in and what command do you type? And it's, it's PWD. And it's like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
I put them in front of the skills port terminal and they started going step by step being prompted. They did in one day what I couldn't do in 1 month. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Love it.
I'm like, shut your mouth.
It's interesting. It's the way we used to teach, right? The board, I don't know if it's the aspect of the whole COVID or just people's mentality of me first. There's a different degree of consumption of like even education. Unfortunately, whereas Vic, me, or Mary would be like, we want to educate, talk, feel my passion, but yet they're just like, okay, do I get points for this? Like they want to. That's the problem, because I think for the listeners, you have to understand that some people, it's ultimately it's not technology. You can learn it, but if you don't have that, and then like when Vic was talking about the cyber range, or Mary was talking about these groups and people that are doing, especially on her organization, you could see the spark when people talk about it. And that's literally what I look for in an interview. Like, are you interested in this job? And I just told you how horrible you are. This company's terrible. And yet you have this spark of eagerness, right? It's the everybody used to call me the grinder, because I just grind people to death. But
can you interview me, please? I need to prep.
I feel like I need this. I'm going to hire Gene to interview me every 6 months.
Right.
Keep me sharp here. New episodes of the Cyberwork podcast are available every Monday at 1 p.m. Central. And don't forget to check out our hands-on training series, Cyberwork Applied. Each week, expert Infosec instructors teach you a new cybersecurity skill and show you how that skill applies to real-world scenarios. Go to infosecinstitute.com/learn to stay up to date on all things cyberwork.